Welcome everyone, this is BrainBoy 20 here, and this is odd. I'm recording on a Saturday, which probably is going to work better than my whole record every Monday thing, because I'm prone to forgetting on Monday. Then again, this is probably going to be a different series from what I'm doing currently. This is Conquest of Elysium 3 by Illwinter. Illwinter is also known for Dominions 3, but these are games most people probably have never heard of. And I'm going to start a completely new one. I have several. Game 3, Game of Death, is playing a Demonologist. Game of Thrones is me playing the voice of El, which is essentially Christianity if they had paladins, knights, and all the stuff. Actually, no, it's the Emperor's Crusade. Game of Thrones, the same Demonologist as Game of Death. And the world is mine as being a cultist of Cthulhu. Yes, you can do anything in this game, and I love it. Now, unfortunately, we have to create a random map. I'm going to set this to enormous because... actually... I don't know if it... No, I'm going to put it on huge because that was too much of a performance drain when I put it on enormous. Map sizes, as you can see. This is a turn-based strategy game, and I'll have to explain more about how the turns actually work when when we're actually in here. Now, we have societies. At random, societies will be randomly selected from the Dark Ages, Agricultural, Empire, Fallen Empire, Monarchy, and the Dawn of a New Empire. Dark Ages, as it says in the subtext. Please look to the bottom of the screen now if you haven't noticed this, but anytime I hover over something, its explanation will always be at the bottom of the screen. Dark Ages is the period of time when man first comes to Elysium. Ruins of long-dead civilizations lie scattered through the realm, and dragons roam the lands. Fairy courts and dwarven cities are not yet destroyed. Human influence is weak, and the forces of nature are strong. There are few villages and even fewer cities in its earlier times. I'll explain more. This actually has an impact on how the game will play as time goes. I'll explain more once we get past the society stuff, and I already know what society I'm going to be picking. After the end of the Dark Ages comes the agricultural period, where man subdues the wildlands of Elysium. Cities are rare, but hamlets and villages lie in every corner of the continent. It is the time of heroes, pioneers, and cunning brigands. Empire. The land of Elysium has been unified into an empire forged from the colonies of the pioneers. A great capital city is being built and other cities founded to provide for the growing population. New military units are being developed to quell uprisings within the realm and hunt down outlaws. A group of brigands that were the scourge of the land in earlier times have almost been completely eliminated. The villages of the empire are growing into cities, and the forests are being cut down. The fallen empire. The waning days of greatness have given way to the interregnum. The empire has fallen. Battlefields and ruins of former imperial glory litter the lands. Few cities and villages remain. Human lands are in chaos, and bandits roam free to roam the countryside. The forces of nature are growing stronger all the time and have reclaimed much of the land for the human inhabitants. Even worse, great acts of evil have been performed in the capital, which has turned it into a stronghold of undead creatures and unspeakable horrors. Only a powerful leader will be able... I don't know what the rest of the subtext says. Even I don't know how to access it. I've tried everything, but that's just going to be cut off for a while. Monarchy. From the ruins of the fallen empire, a monarchy has emerged. Feudal lords rule their estates from towers of stone, gathering power and influence in the service to the king. The land is more peaceful than before, and taxes of villagers pay for troops to protect them from brigands and keep forces of nature at bay. There are many fortresses and towers, but the cities of the empire have yet to be rebuilt. And the dawn of a new empire. Slowly and painstakingly, Elysium is returning to the glories it knew during the days of the Empire. Cities are growing once more, and the future of humankind looks bright and promising. The hard years are forgotten, and the leaders of the land are hopeful. And I need to check the time more often, because I don't even know what I started this just a few minutes ago, I'm guessing. Now, the advanced options I'm not even going to need to care about. Disabling southern terrain. Basically, jungles and deserts take more movement points and thus action points to move through than other situations. I'm not going to disable this. It's meant to be a natural barrier. And these two only matter if I was actually going to play with allies. But for this specific run through, everyone will be against each other. And score graphs, yeah, sure. I'll look at the score. I'll allow the score graphs. I've never really used this function. Now we get to the meat and bones of this. choose your participants. And I'm going to put these guys on the difficulty called Piss Boy, because that's a humorous difficulty and has what appears to be no effect. I have not played on anything higher, and they're already challenging enough. Here are the classes that we have. We have the Feudal Baron. Oh gosh, I should have actually looked through this more. I have already decided what I'm going to play for this run-through, but hopefully we'll get to see enough randomized people or such that you guys can leave it in the comments what you would like to see me play in the future in this, if you would like to see me continue playing this at all. Anyway, hang on, I need to get a drink. I should have come here. Excuse me for a moment. Ah, water. What would I do without you? Fruit, probably, but... Anyway, let's actually start reading what these people do. The Baron. The frontiers of the human realm were defended by landowners known as barons. Some barons were warlike and restless. As humankind spread over Elysium and became dominant, these barons tried to usurp their master's powers and waged war on the neighbors. The large, well-trained forces at their disposal made them formidable foes. They were soon in control of large parts of the human territories. However, not all humans were content with this. The sorcerers of Elysium gathered armies of their own, and non-human warlords called out for vengeance. The barons must once again subjugate Elysium. And then we have the description of what the Baron actually does. The Baron has a wide variety of human troops and huge siege engines at his disposal. Knights are formidable units who can inflict additional damage by charging enemies in the initial phase of battle. Heavy infantry units are strong but move slowly. Fast cavalry units under the leadership of mounted commanders work as a highly mobile force. The Baron knows how to keep his subjects in line and can cow peasants into obedience, yada yada yada. Basically, we could ignore everything in these two lines because it just says all the abilities down here. The abilities starts with a very well fortified castle. I have yet to see one of these castles because I have not played a game long enough to completion. This one will be Iron Man. Any mistakes I make, I will not redo in any way. If I die, I will simply restart from the very beginning. Probably going to pick a different faction depending on... But due to the random numbered nature of this game, I am almost guaranteed that one of these starts will have me instantly killed. There'll be no way to get around it. Anyway, back to the abilities. He gets 25% increase to gold income, 25% increase to iron income. Conscription yields soldiers from farms, hamlets, and villagers once every year. And the barons and high lords can raise levies and mobile defenders in villages and towns. We have the Necromancer. Hang on, I need to take another swig. Necromancers are sorcerers who are adept at the dark art of necromancy, the summoning and creation of the living dead. The Necromancer can raise the buried dead of those who have fallen in battle as undead troops to strengthen his army. This practice is forbidden by the gods, and necromancers who are foolish enough to disturb the dead will lose their sanity in the process. Only dead humanoids can be raised as undead, and once they are destroyed, they cannot be raised a second time, because by that time their bodies are too broken. The other aspect of necromancy is the harvest of hands. On stormy nights, darkly robed men collect the left hands of hanged murderers. These are called the Hands of Glory. The burnt flesh of such hands is pleasant to ghosts and evil spirits who can aid a necromancer in his horrible art. However, the hands can be used in even worse ways. When enough Hands of Glory are burnt, spirits from the darkest realms can be called to instruct the necromancers of how to turn his body into that of the living dead. Necromancers are very weak troops at the start of the game, and dark ritual and such. And you're going to want to use, like it says down here, you want to use your apprentices to animate the dead for you. Because your character will refuse to do actions if he goes insane. You can either become a lich or a vampire depending on what you find. And in this case, you get to be immune to insanity. Well, that's interesting. I actually can reconsider my choice in the future, but necromancers can sense the amount of dead where they are. Necromancers can raise the dead. Necromancers collect Hands of Glory from large villages and towns, and can use Hands of Glory to summon more powerful undead beings. Now we get to the Demonologist, the one I played very well. The Demonologist is a mage priest who summons the denizens of the Abyss and the Inferno. The spirits of these realms are powerful and horrible to behold. They crave human flesh and can be bound to service if they are sated. Doesn't seem right. The greatest of these demons are insatiable and cannot be bound unless the Demonologist is very lucky indeed, and the sacrifice is enormous. If the Demonologist fails the binding ritual, the demon will attack and try to devour the weakling human who had the temerity to attempt to rob it of its freedom. The Demonologist has by far the strongest units I've ever seen. If you let a Demonologist entrench himself in any region, you are not going to break him for any reason. He gets the most powerful summons and creatures in the game. He collects sacrifices from villages and towns, can summon and attempt to control demons, and demons have many different powers. Oh yes, they are all varied, some completely worthless, some are so overpowered that they can take on entire armies by themselves in certain situations. And armies can become ridiculous. The Witch. In ages long before the arrival of man, beings of tremendous power roamed Elysium. These beings were the unchallenged lords of the as-of-yet unnamed realm. In time, they tired of exploring the land and melded into the earth to sleep. They slumbered for ages, and other beings came to the realm. The sound and laughter of these new inhabitants disturbed the sleeping ones. And sometimes one of them woke up to punish the newcomers. As a result, the sleeping ones came to be feared and worshipped by the people of Elysium. The adherents of the old faith are called witches, and feared by troll and man alike. They collect fungi, yada yada yada, and they can summon and control monsters. Basically, these are the female counterparts to the High Cultist. The High Cultist is a cultist of Cthulhu, obviously, and the one I'm going to be playing when we reach him. Hang on, let me... Knowing how high this task is, I'm going to leave it at these 5 for now. If I remember at the next startup, I'll do the next 5. Every time I restart, I'll do another 5. However, I will give you the info on the High Cultist, the one I've deigned myself to play. High Cultist. The High Cultist is the leader of an entire town of worshippers dedicated to the Great Old Ones. However, regular human sacrifices to weed out the unworthy have left the town with only but a small, highly dedicated population. There is a special seawater well in the town where women are encouraged to submerge themselves in the hope of being impregnated by a Great Old One. This never happens, but many women find themselves taken by a deep one instead. The offspring of such a union will be a hideous fish-like humanoid instead of the noble star child everyone hopes for. These half-human hybrids are highly devoted to the cause, and will help the cultists spread the influence of the Great Old Ones. The cultists build similar water wells in all coastal settlements they conquer and subjugate the population to their rights, thus gaining the services of resulting hybrids as soldiers for the High Cultists' armies, or as a devastating force for the settlement. The High Cultist needs to conquer more settlements to gain sacrifices. They are needed to summon deep ones from the depths of the sea and convince them to support the High Cultist's cause. Summoning rituals are always risky, and a successful cultist never summons anything that he cannot kill if things go awry. Even though his services to the Great Old Ones have changed him, the High Cultist is ultimately human by nature and unable to grasp things which require to perform the most difficult rituals. To gain access to such magic, the High Cultist must summon an Old One to continue into the realms where he himself cannot go. Starspawn can use astrology to divine the location of enemies and open pathways for powerful horrors to attack them. The Queen of the Deep is an Old One who can summon entire armies from the depths. Nuances of the High Cultist. The High Cultist can gain hybrids from all coastal settlements. Every time the season changes, between 0 and 5 insane peasants or hybrids will be created at random. These forces are immobile and will defend these regions automatically for your cause, but you can always have someone go and pick them up for use. Cultists can use sacrifices to summon beings from nearby seas and lakes. They have to be nearby them or else the sacrifices will not work and you're not even permitted to try. Starspawn can use sacrifices to send horrors from afar, uncontrollable creatures, and Starspawn can use sacrifices to learn about enemy armies. And let's begin the High Cultist. Now, I'm going to leave these at random, and I'm going to set unique random players, so hopefully we can see something interesting out of these two. Normally, I might pick barons to test myself with, so I can actually learn a bit, and I need to actually put a name down. Hang on. What is a specifically Cthulhuoid name for a High Cultist? And at the beginning of every turn, you get recruitment offers. The captain is a commander like yours, and commanders are the ones you control. Scouts have their own uses, and I can't hire either of them. And there's a castle right here. Could I capture this? Hang on, I'm going to see if my voice even picked up during this time. I'm back, and we have our same captain, scout. Well, we know we can't afford it. Now I have to explain how the whole thing works. If you see these green outlines around a specific area, it means I own the region. Different colored nations will have different colors for these. Gray, like this shade of gray, means that these units are independent. They will either be mobile independent or stationary independent. People who spawn directly on top of buildings that produce things or are just buildings in general are completely immobile. They will never move for any particular purpose or reason unless forced. Now, the castle here is a great example of everything I need to explain about this. I can't move my mouse down, nor can I select it to reveal it, so you're just going to have to look at the bottom of the screen and try to follow what I mean. When you hover over a location, it will give you rough information on what you're seeing. Here there are 12 units here, mostly crossbowmen. The majority of units are obviously crossbowmen, which are second line of infantry, which I will explain later. The castle itself, it produces 2 gold per turn, which you can see up here. Gold per month, and if you left click on this, it will tell you where you're getting your production from. I have 0 iron income. This is this is trade, which we'll get into when the time comes to it, or if I forget about it. And these are sacrifices, your special resource. Every nation has a special resource that they utilize. In this case, we have blood sacrifices. We sacrifice virgins. Actually, no, not virgins. We just sacrifice anyone to the great old ones, I think. I don't know. I don't know what exactly we sacrifice. I just know what's human. Anyway, we get increased gold income 2 per turn for that, and that'll bring our gold income up to 4, which is useful. Next to that are 3 shield icons. This is amount of defense that you have. Excuse me. I don't honestly know. I don't have a guide for this because I bought it off of Steam. I think the shield icons mean how much less damage or that your people take from ranged attacks or otherwise. The next one is the siege weapon icon. If you see that siege weapon icon, you can construct whatever a siege weapon, bring it there, and actually utilize it. You cannot utilize siege weapons on open battlefields. The crown icon right next to it means that is a recruitment location, and thus you're permitted to recruit troops there. And then the all-seeing eye icon right next to the crown icon means that it reveals locations in 2 squares around it, rather than just 1. A square is like this, 1, 2. So if I capture this, I would have access to 1, 2, 3. I would see everything in a 2-square radius around it, no matter what. Yes, there is a fog of war-like system here. If I have say if I reveal this location and then return back to base, this area will be grayed out. The land doesn't change, but the area will be grayed out, meaning anything could be moving through there and I can't see it. And you can see here, the trade icon means how many trades you get. That means sacrifices with the blood red pentagon, although I don't think you can read that. And these videos are going to be long, but they'll be worthwhile once I'm actually done explaining all this stuff and can get into the game proper. Now then, I'm going to use this. You right-click to select people. It's a really weird system to try to show you how things are. Here's my high cultist, Shub Niggeroth, named after the black goat in the woods. Now, you have item slots here, which you can give your commanders or regular field troops special items. Did I forget to mention that I love the music in this game? It's fun. The rank is the rank in his... is not like his commanding rank or otherwise. It's where he's positioned when he's in the battlefield. In this case, he's all the way in the back. The back rank is usually reserved for spellcasters, not particularly strong, only 7 hit points, but really strong magic-wise. In this case, he can cast 3 spells, not per turn in battle. I don't honestly know what this entails. I'll have to explain these spells later because, in all honesty, it takes a long time to go through everything, and I do not have the time to do this. Strength is used to break free from entanglements and resist some stun effects, and it also minorly modifies your damage, I think. Morale, how used to resist fear effects, and certain spells like Charm. Experience points, at the levels of 20, 60, 120, and 200, they gain small bonuses. Rank 1, 2, 3, and 4 will boost their morale by 1. Rank 2 will add +1 to strength. And there's one more that I think adds +1 to magic resistance. Attacks will... armor gives just a straight-up reduction to all damage of any kind to him, unless it specifically states it ignores armor in its attack. Its attacks, he can either use a dagger, which is 1 through 3. He should never be using this. If he's ever using this, I've done something horribly wrong. And he can cast up to a level 2 spell. He has deep magic spells. The spells he knows are Confusion, Special Effect Confusion. I need to go into an actual battle to see what it does. Doesn't affect any being that has the Mindless trait. Magic Resistance Negates, meaning about 50-50 chance, I think. And can only affect 1 enemy unit. He has Words of the Void. It does a stun effect, meaning the enemy can't react. Magic Resistance negates, say 75% to 90% of the time, but it affects 3 random enemy units. Foresight gives luck and affects 5 random allies. They do not try to resist it because it's really useful. In this case, I know what luck does. It makes it so you evade half of all attacks directed towards you, and then you have Invade Mind. Enslaves the enemy. Magic Resistance negates, affects 1 enemy. This guy will be my commander that I'm going to be moving around a lot because of his spells alone. And he has Amphibian. He can move through water, but that takes extra action points to do. Then we have our cultist, Namu, the cultist of the deep. He has 5 hit points, yada yada yada, we see this. He can cast level 1 spells. He has Starlight. 1 enemy unit, it negates armor entirely, and his Paralyzation is a special effect, but magic... oh wait, no, I think this is negated by armor. I'm not sure. I can't. I think it needs to be armor piercing or something like that. And magic resistance negates the Paralyzation effect easily. And then Reading the Stars gives luck to 2 random allies. This guy will be remaining at our base to do other things. Now if we right-click on the entire force here, we see all our units. Spearmen are your basic run-of-the-mill troops, not really well trained. They have 4 magic resistance, 4 strength, 4 morale, and 6 hit points. These guys are effectively worthless, but the useful thing is that they will eat blows that your cultists would take otherwise. And that's why they're in the front rank. They also have a shield, which has a 20% chance of reducing incoming damage by 4. Then we have crossbowmen, the rank 2 of the archers. Crossbowmen have crossbows which deal extremely high piercing damage, and daggers in case they get attacked, but there's really nothing else. They're at mid-rank. They always stand behind the front-rank units. How movement is handled here. Movement, because this guy's not going to be moving much, I'll explain how movement works. Movement costs base 1 action point. You have 3 action points per turn, depending on whether or not you're a fast or slow unit. If you're slow, you'll only have 2 action points per turn, but that generally means you're slow but powerful. If you're fast, you have 4 action points per turn, and that generally has no generalization. As a demonstration, we move out here, and we see we have mountains, a coal mine, and plains, and then we return. Now, I'm going to select Shove Niggeroff and transfer units over. White boxes mean that it's an allied commander. If you select him, he'll just become a subordinate to you. And I'm going to select about half my force. Gimme. And these units are now following Shub-Niggurath. Now then, trade admin, basically it takes the number of trade, and like say if I click buy iron, 1 gold per iron, it will take my income first and will convert 1 gold per trade into iron. So it would be 2 gold times 2, it will be 2 iron here. But I will lose any form of income I've got. And sacrifices, yada yada yada. When the time comes, I'll explain more. Now, there's no defense here, and it gives me 1 iron and 1 gold. Iron is a really hard resource to gain and hold on to, and these guys are not particularly tough with the exception of this man who does use a Pokemon, Bakemono. I don't know how to pronounce that. Regardless, actually, I'll transfer another Spearman just to hold the line, and we'll send them out here first. Combat is not resolved till the end of time, well, the end of your turn. And we will go to the next month. We start off in early summer of the year 0, and let's begin. Shub-Niggurath is attacking Independence. Combat is completely randomized based upon the stuff you've got. I have no control over what goes on, only what goes into the battle. And I was lucky to not lose a single unit there. And as you can see, my income has risen, and my resources now reflect this. I now have 1 iron per month, and gain 3 gold per month. And we're going to just keep exploring, because I need the resources. Now, unfortunately, games like this start off extremely slowly. We're not going to see a lot of action for a fair bit, but this is going to be a side project running, so you don't even have to watch this. And I'm probably going to end up breaking this up. Oh, like I said before, or like I forgot to say, moving into certain areas will cost more action points than others. Say, if I was wanting to move into this, it would cost me 3 action points. I'm not restricted into moving, but what it does do, I have 2 action points left. If I moved into the swamp, it would take 2 action points, and then 1 action point next month, in order to compensate for this. Just as a little bit of a tidbit of information. There's a town here. Towns are a lot less defended and provide me with more gold and sacrifices. Unfortunately, this town's too tough to take on because they're extremely tough, yeah. And this guy can't really do much. And so we'll just end turn. Random events can happen at the start of every month, so I'm just going to keep exploring. Right now, I'm not going to take the coal mine. Everything here is basically randomly generated, and I'm not going to leave the deserted town, because one of the losing conditions is that you have nowhere else to recruit from. If you run out of places to recruit from, game over. You lose, no dice, no chance. Now, I would send this man to try to take him on, I just don't think he has enough forces to do so. Or at least nothing to leave behind in his place to protect his citadel, or else we'll lose instantly. This person has immobile, cannot move. Unfortunately, the sound effects are extremely loud, and I don't think I can do anything about that. And independents like this man will just move around and do things to specifically make you angry. I would love that silver mine. I can't take it because I'm too weak. I guess we'll just keep taking everything until we have enough money to start buying troops. Oh, almost forgot to show off recruitment. Basically, here's how recruitment works. When you have recruiting locations, they will fill up the area here with no defining features other than recruiting in deserted town or recruiting in castle. And sacrifices here is not where you recruit from, and you get to select troops to recruit. The number is how many troops of that kind you'll get. And over here are the resources costing. As you can see, well out of my league. I will never afford any of this for a long time, nor will I be able to regularly afford this. But this is why I chose Empire, because Empire is really easy to get a lot of recruitment really quickly. Now, can I demonstrate that? Yes. Here's the nuance of the cultist. Every season change, you get a chance to get a form of peasant of some kind. Hybrid peasants are amphibious, and these guys, by themselves, are naturally better than, say, a spearman. I say that they're naturally better is because they have more attacks than spearmen, meaning more chances to crit an opponent, and they're amphibious rather than shielded. While you could make the argument that those people aren't particularly... Oh yes, invade mine, the archer is now enslaved and he becomes a part of my force. Archers are they're the spearmen of the crossbowmen, if that makes any sense. And I need to drink some water, hang on. As my income keeps rising, I want to get all my income together before I hit winter. Well, I'll take the coastal village at least. I want to get all my income before winter together, because winter is a horrible time to move. All movement actions cost one more than before. And this is an incredible combo to find right off the bat. A captain with a whole bunch of spearmen, which are effectively worthless, and I've got a force that's nearly equal in size, but will get a significant boost soon. All I need is a few more forces, and I'll show you our first special ability. Call the Deep, contact old ones, or contact deep ones or contact old ones. Winter is here, and we have a captain for 41 gold, and that guy waited until this exact moment. Now, Winter has a lot of noticeable effects. Aside from it now taking more movement points, gold income is reduced by a factor of 5, I think, or at least divided by 5, rounding down. So I was making around 6 gold per turn, divided by 5 is about 1.2, and it will round down and give me 1 gold per month instead, meaning I'm simply stuck here waiting. And I can't afford to go get this farm now because it would take too much movement and I don't have enough forces to protect this place at the moment. So we're just going to have to end turn for a while to just skip through a couple of turns until winter inevitably ends. And the spring is now here. Now, as you can see, we have more units, an insane peasant, which is worse than a spearman. And we have more hybrids. Now, hopefully up here we gained... Yes, we gained a hybrid peasant. But that's not all what we were after. Now, down here, I'm going to make a recruitment of swordsmen. Swordsmen have a higher damaging attack, I think, than spearmen. Yes, they have a higher maximum damage attack. Actually, yeah, they just have a higher damaging attack, and they have slash damage rather than pierce. There's literally no benefit otherwise. Now that we have enough units here that I feel comfortable defending, I'm going to take all these forces here with my cultist. And I'm going to move out and recapture this farm and then deal with the slinger. We have enough units here where if the Tritons attempted to attack, oh, yes, nuance of combat. Defenders always receive the first strike. It's never the other way around. Defenders will always receive the first strike. And we end turn again, hoping... Okay, the snake moved on. Snake, please don't. Snake, go away. Time to summon. Now, anytime I'm about to summon, I highly recommend you do this. Turn down your audio or sound. Because summoning likes to do this. Brrr, brrr. It will make this noise, and it is so annoying and irritating. I think I may have gotten it down a bit. You may keep your audio up, but this is a forewarning. And we're going to do Call of the Deep and see what we get. Well, it's not as bad. Angular Spawn have more HP, more strength, more morale, and more magic resistance than a basic soldier. Plus they get double attacks, and they're immune to poison. Now, I have more units than this, and we have a magic user as well. However, I don't feel comfortable trying to take it over, but I'm going to sit there and try, because that seems like it's incredibly worthwhile to me. Now I'm going to take out this slinger and take over this farm. I'm just going to expand out from both of these directions and hopefully take over the port, because once I get the sacrifice train rolling, where I'm making enough to sacrifice every couple of turns rather than like 10, then I'll be good. And we're just going to be sitting here waiting. He gets his attack, but he nearly dies. Yeah. Oh, another nuance. Anyone stunned will give you more damage. Will take more damage because they're not a moving target. They can't really avoid taking it. And yeah, so this guy will be waiting around. This guy will just be waiting around until he has maybe 17 or so, and then I'll try to take over the port. This area is key to my agenda. And that would be a lot. Ah, yes. The Warlock has been eliminated. The AI is stupid sometimes, and will refuse to defend itself. And we have a Cultist of the Deep, but I can't afford it. The other AI is still around and kicking, and once the AI reaches a critical mass, he will not die to petty things like that. But until then, I'm a liability to just win instantly. Oh, I didn't even know I could check these messages. I have another Cultist of the Deep that I can hire. But unfortunately, I can't afford it. Plus, I can't see what spells he's got. Oh, another nuance. You can only recruit one unit to one town per turn, unless it's a special recruitment offer. I keep forgetting stuff like this, or forgetting to explain it at least. Now, cultist, where will you go? Go down here. Let's see what... Ah, yes, coastal village. Exactly as I was looking for. End turn again. And cultist, go capture this. And I'm just gonna move on. Giant mantis and moose. Yep. This game decides to just start throwing stuff at me because it felt like it. And we have 7 deer. John Deere. Oh dear. My dear. Oh gosh. I think this cultist is dead depending on what decides to attack him here. It's nice having you. And it was nice having these sacrifices, but... Autumn is here. Let's see. No, we're actually quite fine. I'm starting to get performance issues. I'm gonna have to consider ending this episode soon. Yeah. So, this has been Let's Play Conquest of Elysium 3 with BrainBoy 20. Next time, we will hopefully try to take over this port and deal with the independent creatures that will randomly spawn and murder me. See you folks later.